right, let me make myself a bit smaller. Let's start the AMA right here, or let's start watching the AMA with Kieran, the town hall rather, with Kieran, our co-founder of Illuvium. They addressed a lot of questions that the community had, and we're gonna see what they're talking about and what they're. I think I've seen a leak already where they're talking about hiring a new guy for the MMO Lite, like somebody with MMO experience, which I'm really excited about, and I know a lot of the community has been asking for this. So yeah, let's jump right in and see what it's all about. Give us some leaks, Kieran. Show us what you got. We got Rich here, kind of being the host, asking the questions in the name of the community.
Welcome everyone to
welcome.
First Town Hall of 2025 for Illuvium.
By the way, guys, if you're down, I would like to go like a little bit faster just to save a few minutes. So 125, let's see how that goes.
You can hear me all right? I got Kieran here, the co-founder of Illuvium with me. Sorry for starting a little bit late, guys. We had a back-to-back AMA scheduled.
Rich is on speed right now.
We have a lot to cover here on the Town Hall, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. First of all, Kieran, you know, how was your Christmas and New Year's? First with the new kid, huh?
No.
Yeah, it was good. We had an excuse to say that if anyone wants to come and see us over Christmas, you got to come and see us. We're going to one family and then the next family, and they're not exactly located very close to each other, so it can be you're pretty much driving the whole of Christmas Day. But yeah, it was nice to just be at home.
We did that last year, but because my wife was sick, so a little bit different situation. But yeah, cool. Let's get right into this. Basically, you know, I guess the first thing we'll start with that a lot of people have been asking about. You know, you wrote that blog and article about the MMO Lite and Illuvium's general direction for 2025. I doubt everybody here has read it, but I thought it would be good to just kind of go over it and, you know, the general direction that Illuvium's moving in, and with Arena and all of
the MMO Lite. I've had such a hard time to explain to people what MMO Lite exactly is. So from my understanding, it's just an MMO with some features missing because we don't have 10 years to develop it. For example, not the huge map where you run from one side of the continent to the other 10 hours and stuff like this, right?
Of that jazz, and basically kind of go through what you wrote down. And
so like an MMO, more arcade style, more pick it up and play.
Insights on at least the strategy for 2025.
But let's see what Kieran says about it.
The MMO Lite.
Kieran always gets me hyped.
Yeah, for sure. So firstly, there's been a lot of retrospection of what we have built over the last 4 years. And, you know, we got to July last year, we launched, and we probably all agreed that things were a little bit undercooked from where we wanted them to be. However, we've been building in the community's eye, the public eye, whatever you want to call it. And with that comes a bit of pressure. And we expected to be able to launch the entire ecosystem much faster. We said that to the community. And so that pressure was definitely warranted, but it resulted in us probably releasing a little bit too early. So we quickly realized that the overworld, we knew.
It's kind of obvious they released a bit too early because the community pressured into holding the deadlines. But after thinking more and more about it, I think like it had to happen anyway. And if nobody pressured them, it would have been delayed. And then it still wouldn't have been perfect. So it was kind of plunge in the cold pool, get fucked. And now, you know, after being humbled and everything, we can really rebuild the game and really get there from ground zero.
Arena and Gauntlet only having built the 8-player mode for 2 to 3 months prior to us launching, that was really, really early, and that was fine. We knew that it was going to be a more popular mode than the 1v1, and so we accepted that, and we believe that it was in a good enough state to go live with that. So I think that was a good decision, but it was more on the overworld side where we didn't have enough content in there. We didn't have enough of the storyline. Yes, we have the diaries that people uncover, but it wasn't the type of immersion that we originally wanted, and certainly not what the community wanted. And you know,
it was kind of like, okay, here is Gauntlet, a super alpha version, super clunky, but you know, we're gonna get to TFT level. But here is that. And this is kind of the excuse why Overworld is not good enough and not there yet with story and immersion and everything. It's there was really not, because they have been doing everything so polished until then, and suddenly everything was clunky and everything was unfinished and half-assed. So yeah, that was really rough. A rough launch looking back at it.
We've been talking about things like combat for a long time, and it didn't exist, right? And we accepted that, and we thought, we've got to push this thing out. We quickly realized that after, I would say, like 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, a lot of the players started getting bored of just going into the overworld. It looks amazing, the creatures are amazing. Maybe even a lot of people are saying that the combat is great, but it was missing the hook that people wanted in terms of things like progression systems, storyline, being able to go in with your friends, the multiplayer sort of social aspect. And so we quickly identified all of these things and started building them immediately. And even some of those things we started building prior to launch, because we knew this is going to be a problem. We've got to address it and get these things in quickly. And so, and we were missing things like automated drone runs. That was one where a few months prior to launch, I played the game basically religiously, and for me, I was kind of like, well, we're in Web3, right? Where we should be able to capture as much value as possible from the people that want to spend money, right? Like someone like my.
Let me swipe my credit card to get some Illuvials. Don't make me play 1 hour overworld runs. Give me that as an option, not as the only option. And we're getting them. We're finally getting automated drone runs as it should have been from the beginning. I love that everything went to shit and now it's all going to be good once all the new features are there, if everything goes as planned.
Myself, and there's probably, I would say, another 1,000 to 2,000 players out there that are like, I want to capture every single alluvial, and I'm willing to part with a lot of money to do that. And I want to get them in Hollow, and I want to get them in Dark Hollow, right? But what they're not willing to part with is 10,000 to 30,000 hours. So us not having a path for those, that very niche player base, I'm not saying it's all, but about 145,000 people play Overworld since we've launched. I'm saying it's probably 1% to 2% of those people, and we didn't give them a path to spend that money. And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword there. It's in the first instance, if we had, maybe we would be sitting here going, well, things aren't too bad. We're generating a shit ton of revenue. So maybe the game doesn't need.
That's true. They wouldn't have been humbled as much as they did,
because we're earning, the revenue that we thought we would, and that is not the case because we didn't have that path. And so I think it's actually a good thing, because it's unveiled that, hey, we need to do a lot of work in this thing, and that's what made us think, okay, what are we actually trying to build towards here? When we add in these features that we've been talking about with the community, the social aspects, being able to do a raid with multiple people instead of it just being you in this, region alone, the ability to interact with NPCs, for them to say, hey, go on this quest, capture these things, bring them back to me, and you receive some kind of reward for that, whether it be inventory or an augment or whatever. That was those things were missing there. We've talked about for over 12 months. We've shown the council what combat looks like. We've now put a little preview out there. We've had that for a long time, and we thought, like, what does this equal if we just add these elements to the overworld, right? And in my opinion, it turns it into a MMO light. And so, if you're looking at both games, one that we launched versus one that has all of those.
Well. There is more to an MMO light than just the combat system, right?
Features in it. I think it's pretty logical to say, well, that's a cut down version of basically what you get in an MMO. And so it just made sense.
You still need like dungeons, raids, like heavy multiplier. You don't have to have this. MMO is still like massive multiplayer online, right? But it doesn't have to be massive. You don't have to see 5,000 people running around. Every computer is lagging out. Like even World of Warcraft and all the games, they have instanced, like the servers themselves are somewhat instanced and have layers because there's just too many people in one spot. They kind of went away from that again, but you know what I mean. We don't have to have this massive multiplayer feeling, but you have to have a strong multiplayer feeling with your 5-10 man groups and seeing other people run around in Sanctum Mesa and stuff like this. So yeah, raids, dungeons, that's, I think, the most important thing that we need in this direction, which is obviously a thing that will come. Like, it's not going to be launched without that. He's not saying that. I'm just, cutting off his words.
For us to change the narrative, and instead of us saying, hey, the overworld's a little bit undercooked and we're going to add a couple of new features, it made sense for us to say, this is a big deal, what we're introducing. These features, these 3 or 4 new features, which will pack in a ton of new content and make it exciting, and the replayability will go up massively. That's actually not just an open world RPG. Right? Like this will turn into an MMO, just a cut down version. And so that's sort of where we got to. And also, in crypto, narrative is everything. And so we wanted to package it up as this exciting new narrative, even though we'd been building this, prior to even launching the existing game.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, that article covers a lot of what you just spoke about. If you guys haven't read it, it's on our website, or it's on X as well, in the X articles. So it's definitely worth diving into. But yeah, so I guess moving on from that, another area of question from a lot of people that comes up a lot, obviously, is kind of what are your insights on how our runway is looking, and and how does this tie in with the roadmap, basically.
That's kind of the scariest point to talk about, right? Runway, when will we dry up? I think the admins already stopped receiving money. So Kieran and Aaron, for example, are not taking a salary anymore to cut down on costs and on monthly burn. They're going to do like team restructuring. They're also going to do another race, I think, this year. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this regard. I'm curious to see what he says about it.
Like this MMO Lite, and the arena features that are coming, and all of that stuff going on.
Yeah, so I was actually just talking about this to Paul. It's the question that everyone always asks us. It's kind of funny. I don't really see, and I was speaking to Vance about this from Framework, because we always catch up. It's a weird sort of phenomenon that everyone is very persistent on knowing exactly where our runway's at. I think we're one of the only projects that releases the sort of financial detail that we do. I feel like we're pretty transparent. And he actually made the point. He's like, I don't know what it is with Illuvium, but everyone is always very, very hell-bent on, how much runway do you have this month and next month and next month? Whereas in his opinion, other projects are just, they're a little bit, their community is a little bit more just relaxed about that topic. So,
well, I mean, you gotta see it from just a human perspective, like it's this, how is it called, the Damocles, the sword hanging above you, this doom and gloom, like this impending doom around the corner, just 6 months away, 12 months away. It's such a short time away, like it's less than a year away, that it feels like the end of the world is nearing. And if the end of the world is nearing, Illuvium being the world here as we know it, then you want to know exactly when is it gonna end? What can we do to not make it end? Like, what's happening? Like, I feel like just because the runway is so short at the moment, less than a year, which is still a long time, right? And there's still a race which will extend it and other things that will extend it. But just because it feels so close and it's so detrimental to the project, like everything would die if we dry up, that it's, I think, natural for all the investors, the players, and everybody to just constantly worry about it, be anxious about it, and want to know every single detail they can grab their hands on about it.
So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing that I've noticed myself, but totally sweet and a very, very valid question. And our plan with that is we have just over 12 months of runway left now. I think it's mid.
So it's a bit more than a year.
Below 12 months. And there's some really, really exciting stuff that is coming out that isn't even, based on the MMO, right? The first one being automated drone runs. So we have alluvials that come out in sets, and at a certain time, there is no longer going to be the ability to get an OG ram fire. And when you think about that, imagine if you could just open up Illuvitar's Wave 1 again, just for, say, a week. How many discs do you think would actually be bought because people are trying to get that OG Ramfire, that OG Squiz? It would be insane, right? And the fact is,
I still have like 50 Wave 1 discs left, so if anybody wants to have that feeling, hit me up. You can still buy them.
when
But I
you're
get his
gonna do
point.
that sort of that idea of alluvials are also in sets and they're never going to be captured again after a certain point of time. That hasn't been spoken about us. We haven't spoken about that for a long time because we've just been focused on, hey, let's get the games right. But I believe that when we launch this MMO Lite, that should be the change of sets, and it should be fresh characters. Any of the previous ones, you can never capture them again. Now, when you
Yo, hold the phone for a second. What? You gonna bring out the new set with MMO Lite? So that means either MMO Lite is extremely far in the future, or they have to bring out the automated drone runs way before the MMO Lite, so everybody has time to spend all the money they want to get all the alluvials they want before they're never gonna be able to be caught again. But you still have the secondary marketplace. It's more about sentimental value to catch it yourself, which also kind of goes away with the automated drone runs. It's not like really yourself catching it anymore, but it still says it on the thing, like captured by you. So, yeah.
and that's not a guarantee right now. That's just an idea that we're talking about internally. When you combine that with automated drone runs, all of a sudden, someone like me, and I know a bunch of other people in the community are like, okay, well, if we think this is going to be, still a big hit, and Arena's going to come out and all of the new features there, and when we start marketing it and there's leaderboards again, we're going to get tens of thousands of people to come in again. All of a sudden, you start going, well, I'm going to spend, a decent amount of money. It's just we don't have the time to be able to go and spend 10,000 hours. If you take that out, I think we see a large spike in revenue, right? So
yeah,
automated drone runs is one of the features that I'm most excited about, but also getting to that polished state of Arena. We were talking about this yesterday, and you were sort of pitching me, and I hadn't played in the last 2 weeks, and you were like, dude, like it's actually getting pretty good. Like there's a whole bunch of new features that they've introduced and quality of life stuff. And I went and played 3 games yesterday, and it is getting there. It's definitely a game that I find fun. I always keep on coming back to it over the last, since we've launched Gauntlet, I've come back to it over and over and over again. And we're talking about in the next 3 to 4 months, introducing really exciting things like region-based augments. We're talking about carousels, spectator modes, tournaments.
Wait. Hold the phone. What do you mean region-based augments? For Gauntlet. Gauntlet doesn't have a region, right? You have a battle board, but you're not like playing. Like, since everybody has skins for battle boards, everybody's playing somewhere else. You wouldn't know if you're now in the Abyssal Basin or whatever. Like, that doesn't make sense. This would make sense maybe for the overworld or for other settings, but not for Gauntlet, right? Region-based augments. I wonder if he's going to talk about that again.
Like, it's all going to come in a very, very short period of time. And if that's the thing that brings the 50, 60,000 players.
What else did he say?
And it's all region-based augments. We're talking about carousels, spectator modes, tournaments.
Carousels is going to be really good.
Going to come.
And also, if the augments are not like one big augment anymore, but similar to TFT, where you have augment compartments, like fractured augments, and you can combine them to create your perfect augment. Which means it's not going to be so RNG anymore. Do you find the perfect augment or not? Which gives you a big spike in win or lose chance. Instead, you'll find components all through the game, and then you can get your perfect augment anyway, if you play it right.
In a very, very short.
And then you have also the added strategy of slamming items. If you want to get more strength and kind of sacrifice the perfect augment that you would be able to build later on, to just get semi-perfect augments right now, to push more board strength and more momentum, more tempo.
Short period of time. And if that's the thing that brings the 50, 60,000 players that we've had come into Arena over the last 12 to 18 months, that's a very good position to be in. When you couple that with Overworld generating revenue through automated drone runs, plus the revenues that we're generating through Illuvium Beyond, and you go to investors and say, on top of all of these catalysts that are really, really making the ecosystem a lot more attractive to external investors, we're also reducing our costs. So our runway is being extended just organically through those cost reductions. You package Illuvium up and it starts to look, pretty good. It's either, do I back this team that is shown they're capable of launching games? The amount of projects that Danny and I have invested in our VC company that just don't exist anymore, and they didn't release a product or anything, that is in the back of the minds of VCs. And looking at it and saying, well, this is a very capable team. Yeah, they missed the mark on a few things. There's no doubt on that. But they're a very new team. They've never released a game before. That's gonna happen. And you talk about all of those things that I just mentioned. Plus, you add in that we don't just have 1 million tokens in our treasury anymore. We've got 1.87 million tokens because we've moved across a whole bunch of other ones. And no, I'm not saying we're going to use them all, but
yeah, about the point that he said, like, that is true. Like, investors really can trust Illuvium in one thing, which is they are capable of delivering games. Because as a startup development company, as a startup game dev studio, they were able to ship 3 titles at the same time as their first action, which is crazy. They had a triple launch plus the stake, plus the blockchain parts of it, which you could call another game in the back, just from added difficulty for them. So they launched Arena, they launched Overworld, and they launched Zero. At the same time, everything connected on the blockchain. And hey, of course there were features missing and some core things missing, but the launch itself was pretty smooth as well. Like, if they manage to do this and now just give them a bit more money, a bit more time, hey, the next time, if they launch the MMO Lite or the final version of the Gauntlet and stuff like this, it's gonna work and it's gonna be good, and it's only going up from here. I think we already have a really good baseline with Gauntlet and Overworld and everything. And if you just take this baseline and you have trust in the team, like, that is, like, as an investor, I would do the same. And that's why I invested all my money into Illuvium, because they are very trustworthy. There is always chance and risk involved with it, but I still think, like, I still haven't gone out to other very good-looking projects in Web3, because I still, after everything, trust Illuvium the most. Because I've seen them work, and they deliver. They deliver. And maybe they have under-delivered a little bit with the last launch, but yeah. I think they're on the best way. It could have been so much worse. And yeah.
We've got a lot more room and flexibility to be able to go and raise money.
There we go. Take it from there.
I think there's a lot of community members that if they got a decent discount, they would want to participate in this race. I
Yes. Please let us. Why wouldn't you? That's the one thing I don't understand. Why don't we sell the tokens for a discount instead of VC firms to investors? Why don't we sell it out to the community first? Why don't we give them 1 million tokens for a discount? Because if it doesn't work out, it's going to be hard to get investors, or what's the reasoning behind that?
I know a lot of VCs that have already approached me that have said, look, if you give us a good discount now, and I'm like, hey, we've got to introduce all of these things.
Yeah, relax a little bit. We're not going to give out discounts right now. The token is pretty low. We're gonna get to like just releasing stuff and pushing stuff and new features. Like, we're gonna get to a good token price. Also, we want to wait for the next altcoin season, right, where the coin just naturally hikes up. Like, raising right now would be a huge mistake.
That are going to make our project look a lot more attractive. Then we'll talk to you. But it's already happening. So that's sort of the strategy for us to go out and raise more money. But there's no doubt for us to be able to release, unless automated drone runs goes absolutely parabolic, I don't see a way forward without us raising more money.
And I tested the feature. I don't know how close automated drone runs are, but I happened to test it yesterday, I think it was. And I was telling Jeremy, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, you're just giving me an easier way to spend more money. Like I already spend too much on Beyond Discs, you know, and then it's like now I'm going to be able to just get Illuvials, you know, like so yeah, I think it's definitely an easier method. Yeah, I'm time poor for sure, you know, like I do not have time to be doing the overworld runs that I would like to. So yeah,
Yeah, because even worse than paying for an overworld run to capture your alluvials is paying for an overworld run with 1 hour of your time, which some people value at, I don't know, 20, 50, 100, 200 bucks. And then suddenly you pay like $2 or $2 for an overworld run, but you also pay 1 hour of your time, which if you just want the alluvials and not the overworld experience, because it's also not the best experience yet, you're just gonna lose suddenly 2 hours, $200 because you lost 1 hour of gameplay. If you want to see it that way, it's not like that black and white, but you know what I mean.
definitely a cool feature to be able to just go out and get those alluvials that you want easily. So looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, so I guess we can start diving into some of these questions. They're pretty much related to everything we just talked about, but a little bit more specific. And then if we have time at the end, guys, we'll bring you guys up to answer some community questions if you do. But this is also all live streamed on our socials and YouTube, so you'll be able to rewatch the recording if you missed any of the beginning. So these first questions are just based on development focus. These first three are from Snugglebear. He's here in the audience. How much support will Arena have while Overworld, the MMO Lite, is in development, and can we still expect frequent patches and updates?
Sorry, I was talking there.
Absolutely.
Frequent patches will Arena have while Overworld, here from Snugglebear. He's here in the audience. How much support will Arena have while Overworld, the MMO Lite, is in development, and can we still expect frequent patches and updates?
Arena, I guess he's talking about Gauntlet. It's still gonna be
absolutely
kept up to date.
When we talk about not building multiple games simultaneously, we're talking focus, right? Like we already have, and I think I mentioned this.
Finally, focus. This was the main problem, right? We shipped 3 games at the same time, so it was 3 half-ass games because we also were rushed by the community to keep the deadlines, instead of just shipping 1 polished game, which now they're trying to do. Now they're trying to fully focus on Gauntlet while maintaining the other games so they're playable. Then once Gauntlet is there, we're gonna fully focus on the MMO Lite while still maintaining Gauntlet, bringing balance patch and stuff like this, but not new features. So that's how it should have been, and I'm glad they finally changed course to this.
Yes, and Roger helping out with editing the document. We've got live products, right? And I think we fell into this sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a mistake or whatever, but we didn't do enough updates to Beyond, and we had a huge player base there, and not just the player base, how much money they
I keep talking about 3 games, but we actually have 4 games. Beyond is definitely from the time-consuming aspect. It's definitely, you could count it another game.
Sunk into this product, it deserved not just maintenance but regular content updates. And I think what we've shown with
they've done this really good. Wave 3 is really amazing.
A small focus group of devs that worked on that. It was by no means a crazy amount of resources. It was just 4 or 5 people that were hyper focused on let's make this product better, and it really helped. I think everyone can agree that in Wave 3, the different features that you have, it makes it a better experience. And it's going to be the same sort of situation here with Arena, where things like balance patches need to come out. There's always going to need to be maintenance and fixing of bugs and quality of life things. This is by no means, hey, we've delivered Arena and now see you guys later, right? Like we'll come back to this in 3 years, especially not if we're looking at we do these large scale tournaments. We bring in a whole bunch of mainstream content creators that are in that TFT space, and it's received really well. We've got to feel out the market and see what's working and what's not. And if it's working, and Arena is really pumping our the amount of players that are coming into the ecosystem, and that in turn means people are buying cosmetics more. The Illuvidex trading has gone through the roof because people are trying to compete in the Leviathan tournaments. We need to be wary of that, and if that happens, then I would say there'll be a little bit more focus on Arena than what is probably intended now. But we also need to be aware that if, for whatever reason, things don't go as well as what we'd hoped, we have a game that is sitting here in overworld that, as I said, over 100,000 people have come in and played this and been attracted to the visuals and the graphics. It's got that Pokemon feel. We
Yeah.
need to do that justice as well and bring in those elements that are missing, because if that's the final piece of the puzzle, it's almost endless, the amount of players that you can bring into that type of game. If we
And I like what he's saying here because Gauntlet, many people say like, oh, why do you even make Gauntlet polished now and push for Gauntlet if you could go into MMO Lite, into this main overworld game, which can attract so many more people because it's way more a bigger niche than the auto battle side of things. Why don't you just cut Gauntlet and go in this? But Gauntlet has still very good chances of succeeding, of attracting a huge player base, similar to what Parallel did with the Hearthstone player base. We have a crazy good chance of attracting a lot of people from the TFT community because you can earn money not by playing but by competing, by through tournaments, through leaderboards. Like, there is incentivization, and it's not just for the 10 pro players. No, it's also for the diamond players, for the master players, for people that are like semi-pro, never saw a dime from playing their favorite game. They can come into Illuvium and dominate tournaments because we have a smaller player base. We don't have that many esport focused players yet. And it has the visuals, it has the graphics to support all that player base and to keep it sticky. And we also have those unique game propositions like the Ranger and the Hyper Mechanic. So it has still a huge chance of success if we push hard, if the game is well done, a good copy, I will call it now, of TFT, and then we push for tournament competitive rewards, leaderboard rewards. Hey, we might attract thousands of players and really dwarf all the other Web3 games right now. And then we have easy sailing, smooth sailing to the MMO Lite, and we can chill there. So, and even if it doesn't work out, he said it, they can adapt on the move how they want to do it.
get it right. So it's just, I don't want to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. We're very open, we're very flexible, and what
Chat is saying, I've heard of people doing that. Semi-pro Dota player moved to Web3 and dominated and made a lot of money. That's it. We see it right now. We see it in Parallel. We see it also in Illuvium. There's just a few really good challenger players from TFT that came in and made $300 a week in our tournaments that we're hosting. So yeah,
whatever's working, we will resource allocate accordingly.
And I guess on that same subject of the MMO Lite, is that is that something that we're going to trickle out, or is that going to be like a big drop? Like, is it going to be like MMO Lite's ready, like, or are those features going to kind of trickle out over time, or is it going to be kind of like a big drop and relaunch of the game, I guess?
So I think we've got the way that I'm looking at it is in terms of externally. And when I talk externally, I mean like outside of our core community, we want that big drop, right? Like when the alpha or the beta of the MMO Lite comes out, we want it to have a huge amount of features that make people think not just what's the potential of this, but this is actually fun, and not have everything. Obviously, that's being an alpha or whatever we release, maybe a beta. But having enough that people go.
Please don't release another alpha. We've seen enough public alphas. We're good. Just wait till the beta is ready and at least release a beta. I don't want to see an alpha like the Gauntlet again. It broke my heart as Illuvium fan to see such a clunky game coming out to the public. We don't need that. It doesn't help, like being 1-2 months faster and then having a first bad impression. Not good.
Whoa, okay, now I'm paying attention. Like they've added quests, and maybe they don't have all the quests that I'm hoping for, but you can see the progression there, the different systems that we have, the combat, being able to go in with friends. We want that feeling of like this is a totally different game when people first play. That's externally. Now I think we need to be very smart with how we develop this over time. And that means getting community feedback basically as soon as we can. As long as something isn't broken and isn't constantly crashing, or there's a bug that means it's unplayable or whatever.
Hey, we did that with Gauntlet, which was constantly crashing, and it was still fine. But just do it in the private beta testing, because people still have the keys for the private beta environment. Just do it a little bit behind closed doors. You still have thousands of players that have those keys and can test the games. But I agree. Our Q&A team doesn't have too many people, I think, in Illuvium Labs. They don't have like 100-man strong Q&A team like Ubisoft or whatever. Probably don't. I'm exaggerating numbers right here, but yeah. Just use the resources that are there and that are free. The community is going to test your games for free, right?
We should be looking to get it into the hands of the community sooner rather than later. And
we've done that with Gauntlet, but just we shouldn't have made it public available that early with the alpha, I think.
I think that means not keeping a version of it available for 6 months, right? I think it should be more.
That's the other thing. We have been beta testing, alpha testing, private testing for months without a break. The game was basically live from the first moment I played Survival. I have non-stop been playing until now, which is like, what, 1.5 years ago? Yeah, make a test weekend. God damn, that was also a big problem why the community in Illuvium got so invested in the game, because they felt like it's out, even though they were just beta and alpha testing it.
Exciting than that, more impactful, where we say, you know, over this 7-day period, you can test out these 5 quests that you can go and complete. Right? Like that type of thing, and then we take it away. We gather the feedback. Some people say this was insane, stupid, take that out. This was amazing, we love that, double down on that. And it's more of an iterative process that we go through and really truly building with the community that we have, because I think we've seen this in the arena game, that yes, we have QA, and yes, we have people internally that are testing the game, building the game, but having an army of thousands of people that give you the feedback straight away, that's very, very valuable. And I think we need to take those lessons into building the MMO line.
Lots of good insight from the community over the years, for sure. Especially in Gauntlet now, because I've been playing with people every day, and you get a lot of good advice from some of these guys that sit there all day on it like a non. So yeah, I guess we'll just kind of address this real quick, since you brought it up, and there's a lot of questions about it right now in the chat. But I mean, I guess with automated, because you brought up automated drone runs, I wasn't going to talk much about them right now, but people are wondering, like, how does that, because the key thing with automated drone runs, you're going to be able to get alluvials without going into the overworld, but where's the demand for the alluvials coming? Like how is that going to fix the demand side of that, basically?
Well, hopefully, if Leviathan works out and has a big enough player base, that will work. Otherwise, we need to introduce something with ownership. By the way, Viper posted his new proposal for bringing or introducing a ownership-based reward system, which would give ownership some kind of value. So yeah, go check that out in the governance channels in Discord. Still need some upvotes to go to the voting stage of ICC and IMC.
I appreciate Philo in the chat and saying that I still don't realize that there's no reason to farm the overworld. I totally get it right now, that the one lever that we have to pull on demand when it comes to the overworld is Leviathan, right? That's obvious. That's the whole entire reason that we came out with Leviathan. The reason that we haven't started pushing Leviathan tournaments and leaderboards and all of the things that are going to make someone go, oh my God, they just won $10,000 prize money. How'd they do it? Well, they had this really good, really high stat Ramfire, and he was lucky enough to be able to incorporate it into his strategy for that game, and he ended up winning the tournament based on.
Why are we not doing that? Because we don't have spectator mode, we don't have scouting yet. We need the multiplayer service.
The build that he had, and then 10 other people go, oh my God, I've got to go and get that Ramfire, and then they go and buy them off the marketplace. Like, I may be a little bit stupid sometimes, but I'm not mentally impaired. I absolutely know that that's a thing that we need to do. The reason that we haven't is we want the game to be in a really, really good state. As I said, played a few games yesterday. In 1 out of 3 of those games, I crashed. Now, we know what is going to happen when we add rewards. We know what's going to happen when we add tournaments, leaderboards, competitions, all of these things. We absolutely get it. We've done it multiple times. That's why we know there's going to be thousands and thousands of people that come. And for probably 5,000 people in our community, they're going to say, yes, I don't care about the crashes. I just want the rewards, right? Like I've built up these collections of alluvials. I don't care. Let it crash 50 times. But that's not the experience that we want for a general person coming into Illuvium, especially not people coming in for the first time. And so while I can appreciate that you guys, that some people want those things and they want them now, it's better for Illuvium for us to wait until things are much more stable. We have new features that are in, which makes the game much more exciting. There is retention is a huge thing when it comes to Arena. And if we have a game that, you know, we start marketing, there's a cost to us marketing it. So you might say, well, we'll just bring in more people, right? Who cares if they churn? There's a cost to that, right? And we're balancing a whole bunch of things, cost being one of them. So it makes sense for us to wait a little bit longer. I know it's hard to wait. It doesn't mean that we don't know what we're doing or talking about or don't understand.
That was the thing that made me most hopeful for the future when Kieran in another town hall said most of the marketing budget is still in the treasury. Like we haven't even fired our shot yet. Relax.
And that, hey, if we just add rewards, more people will come. Doesn't take a genius to work that out. But when we do it, we want the game to be in the best state that it can be. And I'm not saying, hey, let's wait 55 years and then it'll be the craziest game you've ever played. But we need to balance it between a few more features, a little bit more stability versus, you know, let's open up the floodgates and start giving away tons and tons of rewards into a game that's, you know, undercooked. So that's why we're waiting on that.
Okay. All right, let's keep moving along here. I think, I mean, I don't think we have many details around the MMO Lite yet, but I mean, this was just a question from Squawk. Will having a team of 8 alluvials still be important in the MMO Lite, or will we just use 1 alluvial?
I definitely don't think you're going to use one. A lot of these game design decisions haven't been made yet, so I don't want to definitely rule out that there would only be one. But in my opinion, I think there needs to be multiple alluvials that you can bring into the overworld. Whether or not how you actually use them.
Muted there. So when I talked to Aaron in an AMA, game designer, or game chief, whatever you want to call him, he said that you still will bring a team, but maybe just one alluvial is out, and once you depleted that alluvial, you swap to the next alluvial. Very similar to what Pokemon is doing, right? Where you bring 6 Pokemon, you fight with one. If that is KO, or if you want to swap it out, you can swap in another one, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Is a different story. Maybe it's one at a time. I've actually played the version of combat, and I know you have too, Rich. And I think the way they've changed it now to 3 alluvials that you can put out at a time. But I think originally you could put out 8 alluvials, and it was
I think it crashed every time I did it.
First of all, yeah. I watched Andre do it himself, so he wasn't crashing, but it was just like, this is the most chaotic thing that I've ever seen. So I think there's got to be a happy medium between, you know, like too little and just outright.
But like you said, a lot of those decisions haven't been made, and they will be over time. So
is that too fast? 1 hour is a long time. I want to save us all a little bit of time. 1.5 speed. Maybe it's too fast.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, here's from Sir Dexter. So we know you've been improving the arena for 4 months. Why hasn't a Beyond style leaderboard been implemented for the overworld in the meantime? I know we spoke about this before when we were talking about season 3 being changed, the format of season 3. And actually, it's probably something we can cover right now, actually, because I know a lot of people have been asking about season 3, and I know we've covered it a few times. But yeah, so the overworld leaderboard, and what's the deal with season 3, basically?
Yeah, so same sort of thing, right? Like we had been waiting to introduce combat, multiplayer, and different quests that we built, and we've already got multiple quests that we could theoretically roll out in Overworld. And so our theory has been similar to Arena, where retention isn't as high as what we'd like in Overworld. So the question is, do you keep on throwing fuel onto the fire and churning through people? Yes, they come in and it looks good for the week, 2 weeks that they're in there, but as soon as you take away the rewards, the churn is there. And so the idea was we wait until we have more features that make it much more sticky, and there's a lot more replayability there. And that was why we haven't introduced a leaderboard. How does that fit into the MMO Lite and potentially even the Overworld shutting down, that's over to the community. That's something that we need to, when we have a little bit more information, which I'm targeting sort of the end of this month, for us to have a pretty comprehensive IIP that says we can do X or we can do Y. Now it's over to the community to decide which one do we do. Do we keep the overworld open completely? Do we keep the overworld open in more of a secret kind of way where only people who understand can access it, or know rather can access it? Or do we, go in a different direction? We'll present that to the council. I'll get their feedback on that IIP. That will then be discussed in an open forum with the community. And I know there's people right now who are like, do not close that overworld. Like, I fully get it. Again, it's a similar situation to those who are like, we demand rewards in season 3 now, versus other people who are a little bit more, I would say, open to like, hey, we, more, I would say more like ILV investors, right? Like they own the token and they're like, hey, we get retention isn't here. So this is better for the token price. If we wait a little bit, get the games better, then introduce rewards, because we'll keep those players. We don't have to keep on spending more and more money. There's a lot of
And it's like he says, there is just some overworld lovers. I love it too for what it is. I cannot play it every day, all day long. That's kind of the problem. But I like to jump in there once in a while. And a lot of people love that playstyle where it's, some would say it's boring, but for some people it's just relaxing. You jump in, there is no stakes, you just run around, capture some Illuvium, you have a good, chill time. But I think we can all agree that Illuvium, the more they can focus on the future project, the better it will be. And if closing down Overworld means that we can get significantly faster in developing Gauntlet to where it needs to be, and in developing the MMO Lite, like, come on, let's just close it. And, you're going to take a little bit of comfort away from the people who would like to play it right now. But if it helps Illuvium Labs, we all here want Illuvium Labs. We want the project to succeed. If closing Overworld down, same like Ascendant, helps the whole project, makes it faster, make them more efficient, more focused, why wouldn't we do it, right? Like, just bite the sour apple and just say goodbye to the old world for now, and it's going to come back even better very soon, is at least what I'm thinking. If the overworld aspects are still going to be integrated in the MMO Lite, if we're going to lose like the whole crafting stuff and Sanctum Mesa and everything, then that's a different story, right? But if the MMO Lite is kind of like Overworld 2.0, then just close it and get faster to 2.0 instead of dilly-dallying in Overworld 1.0 and trying to hold on to this flawed product that we're going to replace soon anyway. Why would closing it change anything for development time when they're not spending time on it now, supposedly anyways? They're not spending time developing new features, but I'm sure they're spending man hours on maintaining it. There's always something coming up, right? Like a game, you cannot just upload and then you never look at it again, and a year later you look at it and it's still gonna be the same. Like they have to put in maintenance basically, and maybe just those few hours maintenance, saving that will help already speed up and focus team and whatever it is. Or maybe you have to kick out 5 people that are maintaining it, or you can kick out 5 people maintaining it and get another 2 weeks of runway. I don't know. I don't have the insight, but I'm sure there is still work involved, even if they're not pushing for new features in the overworld.
Cohorts inside
With IMX, like there's always something coming up, right?
of Illuvium, and then you've got landholders as well. And so we'll open this up to all of the different player bases inside the ecosystem, and we'll churn it out. We'll see what do we want to do.
The landholder's going to be like, yeah, fuck
all the discussions are tabled, we will then put that to the council and it'll go to vote, and that's the democratic situation that we're in. And we as labs will adhere to the council's decision on what we did.
Yeah, so I guess the next question, I'm assuming, I mean, it's based on all the same stuff you've just gone over, basically. They're just wondering about the development of Taiga Boreal, Halcyon, the other overworld regions, essentially. But I mean, even if Taiga was done, obviously, which I know it's pretty close. I played it a few times. So, but I mean, I think this all ties back into,
rub it in, Rich.
Released when they're ready, right? Especially with the MMO Lite coming. So.
Yeah, so that's one of the things where there's going to be some topology updates and definitely some changes to the environment in order for us to have things like quests that involve raiding a Leviathan and multiplayer and
Yes.
certainly combat as well. And we've already been doing a bunch of
Yeah.
updates to the
Talk
environment.
dirty to
But
me,
I
Kieran.
believe that because we've done so much development on other regions, that's one of the things where we can say when we launch the MMO Lite, that is brand new content. You know that we've never shown anyone before. We've shown a lot of leaks, but no one's ever played it before. I think keeping that up our sleeve and not leaking that out. Like let's say the
Yeah.
community says yes, we want to keep the overworld open for whatever
Yes.
reason.
Bring new
That's
regions
totally
with
fine.
MMO
I don't
Lite.
think we should go and release Tiger Boreal.
No.
I think we should keep that up our sleeve. So when people do experience the MMO Lite, that's just another thing where they're like, "Whoa, I've never ever seen this this region before." I think that's going to be a big.
And that region is massive. Like just honestly, I don't know if you've played it, but yeah, like the region's absolutely massive. Very cool map. Okay, so tying into that actually, because you mentioned raids and Philo asked, what is your overall vision for raids? You know, how many players would be able to participate? You know, what kind of rewards would come from Leviathan battles? And I guess this is more of like, yeah, just your vision, not the exact game design, because as we said, that's not fully completed yet. But how would you see it playing out?
Me personally, it's getting a little bit dangerous, but you know, I want it to be similar to the OG World of Warcraft, where you're getting loot that drops. You've got to share that around the group that you go in with. Ideally, you have
No,
people
no,
that
no,
are
no, no, no,
collaborative.
no, no, no. We're not gonna roll for loot and have a loot council and all that bullshit. Fuck that, man. That's the worst part about raiding in World of Warcraft than any other MMO. To figure out, like, you have a full loot table, people have to submit. No. No. DKP system, fuck off. No. No, no, no. Don't. Don't. Just don't.
That you know understand like this person should receive this type of loot, this person should get that, or this person is actually vying for this, and therefore we're going to go in and help them out, and they don't like steal it and stuff like that. So I
No.
think
Fuck off. No, definitely not. I'm gonna write an IP against it. Don't make the mistakes of past MMOs. Like, make a better one. Don't copy every shitty freaking World of Warcraft classic thing there is just for nostalgia's sake. Copy some of the new MMO, of the new World of Warcraft, where they have learned from their mistakes and actually made it better. Come on, dude. Oh.
for me, it's all about the social aspect. It's all about the competition. I think we need it to be not crazy. I'm very wary that this is going to be an MMO light and it's going to be a cut down version. So, if there's a situation where we can't have as many people going into the raid as your typical large scale MMO, that's fine. But I think that style of raids is what I would be looking for personally. However, I'm not going to be the game designer on this, and this is probably a good time to mention this. We've got Aaron in the future is going to be hyper focused on Arena and building out all of the new features for that. And when it comes to the MMO, we don't have any of our game designers that have any MMO experience. It was kind of a unique situation with Aaron, where he was, or not was, he is such a massive fan and player of TFT. He understands every single mechanic inside of that game, what works, what doesn't work, and he's been in that scene for so long that yes, he previously hadn't developed an auto battler, but because he had so much knowledge and experience playing it, it sort of was a natural step. When it comes to the MMO, we are going to find a game director, Luke, who is our head of recruitment. He is already on the case, and we've got some really good candidates there. We're looking for someone that has been like previous EverQuest or Guild Wars or World of Warcraft, someone that is that has been building MMOs for a long time. Potentially not, a director or whatever, but someone that's been a game designer that has that experience, and they will come in and they will be the game director of.
Nice. That's good to hear. You'll love it. You'll love it. Just, bring somebody in with experience that know what he's doing, and just, bring in. And they have been, to be fair, they have been doing that before, right? All the other, like, we just don't have a guy for MMO. But all or most of the people on the team are senior level, junior level. They have shipped AAA games, and they are very, very much embedded in the industry. Like it's not like they've been hiring new guys, but it's more the Warwicks were kind of new to game development. They learned by doing it a lot, and yeah, Aaron is just a genius, so we were lucky in that regard.
Of the MMO, and it sort of also leans into this not splitting different focuses for different people. The game designers, a lot of the time, they will work on Arena, then they'll have to switch, and then they're working on Zero, and then they're working on like how should Beyond function, and it's again very, very chaotic, and it's very hard to take your one hat off and put the next one on. So by having Aaron focus solely on Arena and this new game director solely on the MMO, yes, there needs to be a lot of knowledge because it's an interoperable game that does have features that incorporate across different genres. But for the most part, we want them to be able to just come in, lock in, understand the progression systems that we have, and or that we want to have built. And yeah, I think that's very, very exciting for us to be able to bring someone in with a wealth of experience. And I'm certainly looking forward to sitting down with them and listening to where they think we should take this vision and the IP.
I mean, me and you were even talking about it the other day about like we needed to play. Cool. We wanted to play a good
really
MMO that's out right now, and yeah, I don't know. Nothing I found was super interesting to me, at least currently. I know I've talked to some people. I don't think Path of Exile is a actual MMO. Like I talked to some people that are really enjoying it, but yeah, I haven't found anything this year. So like yeah, looking forward to hearing from a new game designer, you know, about how this is going to look, because it should be cool. But also, like, there's a few more questions about this as far as like game design questions and how it's going to work. But I'll tell you what, guys, we're probably just going to skip over those, and then we'll have another town hall once this is more sorted out about the MMO Lite. I'm sure we'll probably have.
By the way, right now I'm in talks with Aaron again to have an AMA with Aaron. I'm gonna post very soon a Discord thread channel in the Feedback Ideas channel where you can submit your questions to Aaron. And this is gonna be, he's gonna maybe be a bit more suited to answer game design questions, especially for Arena, but I'm sure also for MMO Lite. I'm sure he has some ideas floating around. This is just gonna be like some ideas, nothing confirmed and nothing, because he's not gonna be the game director for the MMO Lite. But I'm sure we're gonna get better and good answers from him if you wanna ask those questions. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And I will let you know, just, you know, subscribe on Twitter, be in our guild Discord, all my channels, you know, it, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Discord. We have Phantom Guild Discord. Those are kind of my channels, and yeah, stay tuned. I'm stoked to talk to Aaron again.
Some document that we'll present,
but
like
now,
you said, Kieran, about it. And
let's finish the
so
Townhall
we'll
with Kieran.
Always, we'll kind of bring it back into, you know, what's going on now. And
always stoked to listen to Kieran, and Rich is directing, hosting those Townhalls really well, I think.
Yeah, because there were several questions about the MMO Lite, and yeah, we'll let you guys know when that town hall will be, and I'm sure you guys will get more information by then. But yeah, we'll kind of circle back to some other questions, I guess. Here on the economy and like fuel. So will upcoming monetization, this is from Shady or Muffin Man, will upcoming monetization changes include a new in-game currency, and how will this affect landholders or landowners and in-game expenditures?
So again, it's sort of the economy questions are touching a little bit on game design as well, but there is going to be, and I need to be a little bit careful with what I say here, but
no, don't be. Chill, relax, let it flow.
Has been in the works for quite some time now to make the fuel system much more efficient, and that will then tie into the MMO. It ties into every single product that we have where you can spend money, and so yeah, the fuel system will change.
yeah.
There's all else I would say there.
All right. What about I guess then, I don't know if we can answer this either. Then the bonus fuel system, that'll be removed at some point, I'm guessing. Like I know if you okay.
No comment.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, then let's just move on here to, I guess the next questions are more. I mean, there's a lot of economy questions about the MMO Lite, and then how about this one? Why aren't we focusing, and I guess you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but people are kind of wondering, why haven't we focused more on TFT markets like, APAC, China, Japan, those areas, Tokyo, to bring more people?
We actually talked, I don't know if it was on the podcast with Nigel the other day, but I talked to Taryn about it. and he's really excited to open the market or open Illuvium up for, like, yeah, it was on a podcast, I think, to China. And China has such a huge TFT player base, not because they're so big, but also because they just love TFT. Like, the Asian market is really, really strong in strategy games, and TFT is the biggest strategy game in the world. And so far, I think my counterpoint was we kind of locked China out with the VPNs. I think he then said only the bot farm VPNs have been banned. It's not like all China has been banned. It's more like specific VPN providers that are known to provide like bot farms with VPNs have been banned. So yeah, there's big plans, especially. Now I remember the big point he mentioned was that we need translations in Chinese and so on in for the Asian market. And I don't know if we have Spanish yet, but yeah, you cannot bring in Chinese gamers if you don't give them a localization, like the game in their language. Most of them don't speak English, so yeah. Once we have that, a huge market will open to us, and combined with mobile and all of this, there is a lot of stuff Illuvium can do by just enabling different languages plus mobile and getting like half of the globe suddenly being able to tune in to Illuvium.
People into the arena currently, but I think you touched on it mainly, about the current state that it's in,
Yeah, no, I fully get it, right? Like if you're playing the game, you sort of get a little bit blind to the things that are missing, right? And I always try. I love playing TFT as well, and so I always when we introduced the Ranger originally, I was like, fuck this. I was loving the game prior to the Ranger being introduced, and when it came out, and I was open about this. If you saw me playing,
same. But now it feels better and better. I think we're not quite there yet because it's still impossible to get a stage 3 suit or a stage 3 weapon, which just defeats the purpose of the Ranger making composite synergies more available. But once they fix this, still think my idea is the best I've heard so far, where you just cut away stage 1 weapons and you start with the stage 2, which has 1 composite, you find 3 copies, and you get the stage 3 with 2 composites. Make it super available to get them this way, and then just nerf down the composites because it's so much easier to get them, and I think you're there. Then you can keep the exact same system with like 1 weapon, 1 armor randomly each round. It's like decently hard still to get stage 3, like 3 copies. Not decently hard. It's very accessible then, which opens up all the other composite synergies, which is a pain in the ass to balance, but at least we have a lot of variety in our games then.
In the general chat, I was like, no, it's too complicated again, too many things you need to think about, I'm out. And so I started playing TFT again, and I know there's been so much discussion. I put forward a proposal, a bunch of other people have put forward proposals to simplify how the Ranger is actually used, but I ended up going back to TFT, and then I was kind of like, wow, okay, like not only is the like stability issues, the smoothness of gameplay, like things like the controls, the UI, it's a lot more clicky, it's just reactive, it's fast.
Yeah, it's extremely polished, right?
That's not even talking about like feature set wise, where when you first go into the game, you're all like voting on which region you want to go to, or which global augment you want to use. The carousel is such a really awesome catch up feature. You sort of go, ooh, okay, like shit. They do have a lot more, and yes, they've got 7 years of development on us, but
plus they have some quality of life stuff that is pretty amazing too, where you have like an in-game team builder where you can build the team you want to go for, and then it highlights the units. Like, that's one of the coolest quality of life things that they have introduced in the recent past. This has been a very new feature they've introduced.
It opens your eyes, and you're like, well,
But stuff like this you don't really need, because you can have third-party overlay apps do that job.
Playing Illuvium for the last 3 months straight. That's all I've played, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is what the competition is. It makes you realize, like, do we really want to be going out to mainstream TFT players this early, right? Like, if we're truly holding ourselves accountable and being realistic, the answer is no. Right now, that's going to change. We've got, with the multiplayer servers coming out, that's going to fix a lot of the stability issues, a lot of the polish, the snappiness of moving characters around, and misclicking won't happen as much, and like all of those things that just piss you off, right? Like, they're just like, I'm mid-game. Like I know you the other day, you came to me and you were raging. You're like, I was winning and then I got disconnected. I'm trying to come back. Like it's very, very hard to get like you're fine. You work here. Even if you didn't, you're in the community. You understand what's being built. A brand new player in China or Japan or wherever, the
Preach
no matter
it.
what market,
Preach
brand
it,
new
brother.
player comes in and experiences that, they're gonna go, fuck that. I'm going back to TFT. And
You can say what you want about Kieran, but moments like this, you can't just sit there and say, he gets it. Like, he gets the struggle. He knows when to be patient, which is a huge, huge trait in anybody that's in a leading position. To be able to be patient and not... Sometimes he wasn't as patient as he should have been, but many times he shows patience, and at least, like, when you listen to him, he lights me on fire. I don't want to be the Kieran fanboy here, but it's just cool to see him passionate, talk about stuff, and also have a lot of knowledge to back it up.
And we need to find that balance of, no, we can't be, as good as TFT when we first switch the tap on, right? Like I'm not saying we need to be at that level, but there are so many things that are coming in the next 3 to 4 months that make it twice as good, triple as good. And you don't the point I'm trying to make here is you don't really know until, like, when I came back to our game after yesterday, after not playing for, a month or whatever it was, I was like, whoa, okay, this is actually pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of new features here. And you were like, whoa, yeah, didn't you know about this? And I was like, well, no, I didn't. And that's the type of thing where we just got to get as close to good as possible, and then we turn the tap on, right? We don't have forever, but when we turn that tap on, we really want people to go, like, I see the potential of this game. This is an awesome experience with the IP. And as soon as we're at that point, I promise you, like, without a doubt, there will be fuckloads of leaderboard rewards for you to earn. There'll be lots of tournaments, like lots and lots of tournaments. There'll be so many different marketing campaigns that we do where we bring in content. If we find that content creators are getting a good reception, we're not going to go, oh, well, we did that, see you later. We're going to say, let's go again. Let's do more events. Let's get more and more people into this game. So please don't look at it and think like they just have forgotten about it. How could they have done that? Like, that seems like we live this. This is how, every single day, 12 to 15 hours a day, this is what we live. So, we get it, but we've just got to be strategic.
And to clarify, I don't know if I was winning, but I was doing well. Okay.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait for it once we turn on the tab, once we're there. And they get it, right? They have been humbled by the early release where a lot of features was missing and a lot of stuff went wrong. But they know we have one last chance, one opportunity to be everything we ever wanted to be. And they're waiting for the last possible moment, not the last possible moment, but they're waiting until we have the game in a good enough state to give them a really realistic chance of capturing mainstream in Web 3 and in Web 2. And that's when they're gonna go all in with their marketing budget, with their esport, with the competitive budget for tournaments and leaderboards. And we're gonna push hard for Gauntlet. And while this is happening, even though this has a really good chance of succeeding already, they're gonna fully start focusing on MMO Lite and bringing this game that everybody in Web 3 and some in Web 2, they don't even know yet, but has been dreaming about, where you have this MMO game where you can actually own your assets. It's not going to get reset with every single new add-on. You have to do it all over again. You're actually going to own a Ramfire, you own that Pikachu, and it's your property, and it's never going to be able to be caught again at one point. And you have that, and it's... Yeah. I'm putting up a tent just talking about it. Anyway, let's get back to topic. We have another 8.
Then I got disconnected.
Got another 10 minutes here.
Rage quit, so. But yeah, I was doing well. Somebody called me out for actually winning, so I figured I'd clear that up. Remover. So yeah, another cool feature. And that's the thing, is like just where the game is at compared to when we first released Gauntlet to now. It's like much more fun now than it even was then, and it's only been improving. So in another 3 months, I don't doubt that it can be in a 100% better place. Like a team's doing very well.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, I guess some people, there's a lot of questions about this, so we'll leave it for last, basically about the partnership that we just announced yesterday. But another question, just based on project advisors, like, are there a lot of project advisors that you were talking to in general, and like what kind of value are they adding to help us get through these issues that we've spoken about today, or I guess
committees. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah. So look, it's as a council member, the way that we've set up the advisory is The council has access to those advisors whenever they would like. They've got a direct line to them. They've also got conversations inside of Discord.
The main council has. I don't have a direct line to the committees. I would like it, but I don't. I would utilize them. And I'm not sure if IMC has been utilizing them as much as they could have or should have.
Which are gated to just the council members. They can ask questions whenever they want on any topic. Hey, should we be switching to an MMO light? Should we be doing this virtual partnership? Or what's your opinion on it? There's this IIP that's come out. What do you think about this? Should I vote yes? Should I vote no? All of these things the council has access to, and there's like 18 different advisors. I think as well, we've been talking about setting up the advisory for esports. I don't know where that's at. I think that
I got to work on that with Scrubba still. I think he was working on the forum for it. Yeah, but we need to get that taken care of. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's another situation where, for me personally, I set that up. That governance V3 is it? We're at V3. Yes. V3. I set that up to make it more formal and official for the council members to have access to these advisors. But me personally, on probably a daily basis, I'm going to someone. Like 3 days ago, I went and saw Kane about this partnership with Virtuals and where we should go with this. And he's not even an official advisor, someone who has a wealth of knowledge, understands different narratives, has been in multiple different protocols. And I went out and saw him, and I was like, hey, I need to know, like, what do you think about this? What would you do? How do you think we should approach it? Like all of these different things. I do this on a weekly basis with probably 10 to 15 different individuals to check, is this right? This is my opinion. What's yours? And sanity check it. I know that I'm a little bit insane, so it's good to get an external opinion. And
at least
I'm
know
constantly doing that. So for me, our advisors are amazing. They're great. They don't charge us anything. They do it out of goodwill because I try and help out where I can to other projects. And so a lot of founders and big personalities, content creators, investors, they understand that that's a very give and take economy. And so I get a lot of value out of that. In terms of the other council members, you'd need to ask them.
Which you guys all have access to all the council members, so you can feel free to ask them how often they're interacting. But yeah, I've seen them chat to them, from time to time. So but yeah, so I guess on the Virtuals partnership, since you mentioned it, there's a slew of questions, and I guess it depends on what you want to cover. I was also going to say that there is a AMA you're going to be in tomorrow with them, or a X space, right? That you're joining with them tomorrow. So you could cover a lot there. You can cover some here. I kind of have like a little bit of a hard stop in like 10, 15 minutes. Like I got to go get my daughter. So yeah, if you want to jump into the Virtuals partnership a little bit, or we could start fielding some questions from the community. I'll kind of leave that part up to you, but.
Sure. So basically, I've been working with these guys. Actually, this is one of those situations where I helped them out 4 years ago when they were pathed out. Maybe some of you guys remember pathed out. Sorry, I'm just looking at this frog. The capacitor is it's pretty funny in the chat. But no, so I helped them out with getting investors, some partnerships early on with other games and stuff like that. And very, very smart group of individuals. It was a kind of a smallish team back then. And they were like many of the different guilds out there, similar to how Merit Circle pivoted into Beam. These guys pivoted into AI tech. And they didn't know where they were sort of going to take it. And eventually they settled on an agent platform where basically anyone can, it's sort of turnkey. You can go in, create an agent on their platform.
By the way, guys, today I uploaded the YouTube video about this. I think I did a pretty good job. I'm pretty happy with the video. So if you want more info about the partnership, maybe you can find it in my YouTube video from today. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, by the way.
And they will, if it hits a certain cap, it'll mint. And basically that agent will post on X for you. They've got a Telegram integration where you can interact with this agent on Telegram. And that's their core platform that they have. And with that, they've got a huge team of engineers now. The protocol's at like a 6 billion valuation, fully diluted because they launched 4 years ago, or mostly fully diluted. I think maybe they've locked up their team tokens longer or whatever. But anyway, they've got a huge amount of money, a huge amount of runway, a very, very large team of machine learning engineers, data scientists, and they did an integration with Roblox where they basically took some of their agents and brought them to life. And we looked at that and we said, hey, I said to them, we're just about to, announce this MMO Lite. You have this GAME framework, which is their gaming AI framework where you can basically create these sentient beings out of your NPCs and potentially even things like Leviathans when it comes to us. And so we just got to discussing, and it's a vertical that I said to them this would be absolutely huge. I think in the next 2-3 years, the AI space inside of gaming is going to be just massive. And so I said to them, look, you're obviously thinking about this. You've already done this integration in Roblox, and they said, yeah, we're building a huge team where they can basically continue to develop this framework. And I said, could this be something that you work with us on? And they were like, absolutely. We're trying to find a partner inside of Web3. It makes sense with you guys because, you're such a large IP and our previous history. And so, yeah, this was a few months ago now. And as we build this out and let them know, it's probably going to start with just NPCs. And then this will slowly develop into the potential of you going in and having a dynamic experience with a boss. So instead of you just going in and having the exact same experience, the exact same combat strategy that you did previously, everything is dynamic. So you can't use the same strategy twice and get the exact same result, which I think in terms of like replayability inside of a video game is huge. To think that, and actually what we were just speaking about on Paul Barron's network is NVIDIA has just released a version of this similar type of framework.
Yeah,
where
I've seen it today.
Exactly what we're talking about, where imagine going into World of Warcraft, you're playing against you're going into a raid against this boss, and it's a completely different situation based on the team composition that comes in.
Man, that's a point I didn't even cover yet in the video, or I didn't thought about yet, that the boss could adapt on the go to you, which this would be crazy, because the problem in World of Warcraft oftentimes is you just look up a video how to do something the best way, and then you just copy paste it. When I started playing it, I was like 14 years old in the first iteration of World of Warcraft Vanilla. There was, but I didn't know, and many people didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody looked up guides or stuff. You just went in there and tried it and got your ass handed to you. So if there was actually a boss fight where you cannot look it up, the strategies, and you have to figure it out, you have to actually go in there, get smacked around, and then realize slowly but surely the strategies against the boss. Maybe it could be always the same, at least for you, so you don't have to figure it out every week again. But that would be really cool, because that's one of the saddest things, or one of the things that I would really like to experience in an MMO, but never can, is to be the first one to try to figure out the boss. All the big guilds do it, right? When they're the fastest to get into the new raid and try the boss out, and then they have to figure out the mechanics of that boss. Probably mostly it's already done in the playtest or whatever, but that would be insanely cool. Wow, I'm hyped for something like that. Just in general, the Virtuals IO collaboration makes me really, really hopeful for Illuvium, and also gaming just in general in the next few years. I think this could be the golden era for gaming. Mark my words.
Do they have more defense? Do they have more attack?
It's pretty obvious.
Dynamically.
One thing real quick, when Season 3 chat here, we have a very small player base right now, and the games are not polished yet. So the team is focusing now to making the games perfect, to a state, or near perfect, to a state where they then can use all their marketing budget for marketing and also tournaments and leaderboards. And that's when we get Season 1 of competitive season, or whatever it's going to be. There's not going to be an airdrop Season 3 like we used to have in Season 1 and 2. It's going to be all about competitive leaderboards, events, tournaments, and once the games are ready, it's going to come. So you still have to wait a little bit for multiplayer servers, spectator mode, and also scouting that will all come with that.
Learns which different unit to attack on the enemy's team. So you get much smarter NPCs and bosses that you come up against. And I think us dipping our toe into the water here, it's still very, very early, but it's something that it fits exactly into the genre that we have in terms of this overworld MMO. And so, and they're about to spend tens of millions of dollars on the research and development to build this framework. So it just makes sense. I think it's a partnership that has a lot of potential to bring our game to the next level.
Definitely big, exciting partnership. Lots of people were very excited to hear about that. Definitely. And as I said, Kieran's going to be on another AMA or roundtable with these guys tomorrow over at Virtuals, and a few other projects that are going to be there. I think we retweeted it on X, so if you want to check that out, it's at 6 a.m. my time, so just over 12 hours. But
Yeah, it's gonna probably be around now.
I think that's most of the questions. And as I said, we got started a little bit late, so unfortunately, I kind of got a dip. But we covered most of the questions. And as I said, as far as the MMO like questions, we'll do another town hall. Once that game design document is more fleshed out, and we can get you guys some more solid answers on that. But yeah, I mean, the only other question that was kind of a fun one, but it was is Illuvifest still planned for 2025?
Ooh, Illuvifest.
Let's just say it's on hold for now. However,
Little Illuvium convention.
We may have one little thing. It's not fully confirmed yet, but yeah, we're thinking about something. If it's cost effective enough, there may be some event that people could attend around the relaunch of Gauntlet and
that would be sick.
But
fly me out, Kieran.
It's not confirmed yet.
All right. Well, I don't mind going to Australia again, so just let me know.
It's probably not going to be in Australia, right?
It's not in Australia.
What? No US? Come on. California is real close for me. Go. Actually, we're on fire right now, so.
Yep. I hope everybody's all right in LA. And yeah, probably, I guess, like some Illuvium event would be in Europe. It's kind of the middle for everyone and probably has the biggest demographic after America, but America makes stuff so much harder to do events, I feel like, for people to come in there. I think it's so much more easier and open in Europe. And I'm from Europe, maybe that's why I'm advocating for it. Do it! Do an event and fly me out.
All right. I think, we'll call it there. And then, Kieran, I appreciate you coming out. And like I said, community, I appreciate you guys coming out and bringing the questions. And we will do another one of these in February. We're on the 8th today, so we'll have another one in February, maybe one before if we get that MMO light stuff. But this is recorded on X, YouTube, everywhere you want to watch it, so you guys can go back and check it out. And I'll be playing some more Arena later today. Also, the podcast tomorrow with me and Jackson. It starts just an hour and 23 hours basically. The podcast with me and Jackson. We're going to try and do the loaded raffle there. So if you guys participated in that loaded raffle or you bought a G-Shock disc and opened it, you're in. And we'll hopefully do the drawing tomorrow. We're having a little bit of trouble parsing all the people. But hopefully should do that tomorrow live for you guys. Give out some prizes tomorrow for that. And then, we'll cover some other good events and stuff going on the podcast tomorrow. But we'll wrap up the town hall here. Thank you guys for coming out. Kieran, appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you. That was great. Look at that, a bunch of people in there. That was such a good town hall. My man, my guys. A lot of leaks, a lot of good stuff, a lot of hopeful news. Love it.